In this lecture, what we are going to do is take a look at the web framework called Flask. And some of you might never heard of Flask, and some of you might never heard of what a web framework is. So we'll look at what these things are and why it is important for you as an engineering student to learn Flask. So a web framework is in simple, if you have some content to be shown to the world, you show it through a website. You have a URL and someone goes to that URL and your website is there. So as an engineering student, you might have some projects, uh, some machine learning models, data science things, AI things where the user needs to see or user needs to interact with something to uh, get the result. Now, when you develop these things, you develop it in your local machine, your laptop, but no one in the world can log into that and use it all the time. So what you do is you have to, one of the ways to give it to the outside world is you have to um, expose it as an API or a website. So we'll not get into the API sections, but we look at a very simple version of that where we are showing web pages to the outside world. So Flask is something that Python gives us, uh, which helps us to build websites and host them anywhere we want. So people all around the world can come there through the URL and interact with your application. So that is Flask, and there are different web frameworks like Django and other stuff with Python, but Flask is one of the easiest to learn. So we are going to start with that. Now, like always, if you have been with us, you know all our codes related to these lectures are in the GitHub repositories. So you can go to our GitHub page and clone it and try it yourself. Now, first thing you need to do is obviously you need to install Python because Flask is working on top of Python. Now, we are not going to go through all the things that how to install Python and stuff because we have a different lecture for that where we take you step by step through the Python installation. You can go watch it and come back, and then you will be good to go. So now to set up the Flask project, this is very easy. First, you need to open PyCharm. You don't need PyCharm. PyCharm is an IDE. Again, if you don't know about PyCharm, go to the Python for Beginners lecture, and there we explain everything. So PyCharm is one of the easiest IDEs to use. So IDE is something that you use to make your life easier when you are coding. So we open PyCharm and we go to File and we can create a new project. For this one, I have created Flask for Beginners, and by default, it will look like this. It will create one file inside that and it will have these things. Now what we are going to do is we are going to remove this file and create our own files and work on them. Okay. So what I have done here is I have deleted the main.py file and I have created 3 files. So when in order to create a file, you can click right click on the project name and you can create new, and I have created a readme.md file, a text file called requirements, and a Python file called run.py. Now we are not going to use the readme.md file in this lecture, but that is a good practice to have because any project you are doing you need to have a readme so next person can easily understand what has happened, how to install those kind of things. Now run.py file is the file where we are going to write our code. Here we are going to limit ourselves to these 3 files, but in an actual project you will have 50 or 100 or even more than that files, and you need to have a proper organization for those folders. We will talk about them in a later lecture, but for now, for our simple thing, we just need one file. Now requirement.txt file is something that we use. Now when we are setting up a project, we can't write all the code. So what happens is, people around the world has created things called libraries, which we can install inside our project and use it as if it's a part of our project. So this require those are called libraries, requirements, dependencies. We use different names, but essentially what we do with the requirements.txt file is, they are inside that we are telling, okay, these are the libraries from outside that I am going to use in this project. So if we open up the requirement.txt files, I have typed out, okay, I want the Flask 2.0.0 version to be installed in this project in the when we are going forward. So we haven't installed this, but I am telling inside this requirements file, I require this particular library. That's it. So when we are going forward, when we are working with authentication, we are working with databases, there will be other libraries added here, but for this lecture we just need this one. Okay, so it is in red color because the PyCharm is saying, hey, you are telling me that this library is going to be used for this project, but it is not installed. So that is why it is in red. Now to install this, what we do is, for each project, best practice is to create a separate virtual environment. So if you don't know again about virtual environments, go back to our Python for beginners lecture, and there we take you step by step on how to create virtual environments and stuff, so you will have a good understanding there. So just to uh, give a quick example, if you want to create a virtual environment, you go to the command line and you put python -m vn and then whatever the name you want. Here I have put Flask beginners virtual environment, and that will create a virtual environment. Think of it as a black box, and inside that black box we are installing all our libraries for our project. Now once this is created, now we need to go to PyCharm, we need to go to file and settings, and it will open up something, and inside that you need to select Python interpreter, and you will have a UI like this, and you need to go to existing environment, and here from these three dots you can select the virtual environment that we just created. So in my case it's in D virtual environments veritas, and here's the folder. Now inside that you need to go to scripts and find out the Python exe, and now select it, and then you click OK, and then you click apply and OK, and everything will be set up. This is telling the PyCharm, hey, this is the virtual environment that I need you to use for this project. Now if everything is okay, when you click terminal right down below, it will open up like something like this, and you will see, okay, within brackets you will see whatever the name you gave for your virtual environment. If this comes up, that means you have set everything up good, right? So now what we need to do is install our libraries, install them, and it's just one command. You just need to type pip install -r and the requirements file's name. So pip is a package manager, you don't have to worry about them. It is, think of it as someone if that we can tell, okay, I want these things, and it will find them in from the internet and bring them and install inside our virtual environment. So here what we are saying is pip install all these install every library that I have mentioned inside the requirements.txt file. So it will go to the requirement.txt file, find out, okay, there's only one library, and it will bring it, download it, and install it. So you will see something like that, downloading blah blah blah, and you will see some things like, okay, I didn't ask it to download Click, I didn't ask it to download Jinja, I just asked it to download Flask. So the thing is, when we ask it to download Flask. Flask takes care of all the other necessary things, so we don't have to write everything here. We just have to tell Flask and it will install every additional dependency that we will need. So if everything goes correctly, you will have a successful message. And also you will notice that in few seconds you will notice that the red color is now gone and it's showing okay. That means all the libraries that we need for this project are installed. We just have to start coding. Okay, so just to see if everything works, you just have to you can open up run file and type out print hello or something, and then you can right click on the file and click run, or you can run it from here. So it will open up and it will print hello. So you can do it like this, or you can do it like this. So this notation is important, but at the moment we will not go into details of why this is important. You just think, okay, doing it this way, this is saying inside this if condition print hello. So doing it like this, for now think of it as, okay, this is a safe way of starting a Python script. Okay, so we are going to use this notation going forward. So now we know this works. Now we need to add our first route. So route is, if you don't know what a route is, now for Facebook, if you go to Facebook, you have the URL facebook.com forward slash profile forward slash something. So that is the route. So anything that you see on the URL or the address bar of the web browser, that is a route. So for our website also, we need to create our very first route. Okay, so to do that, we first need to set up our web server. So it's just 4 lines. So what we do is we go, and now that we have installed our Flask library, we are telling the code, hey, from Flask library that you just installed, import Flask class. Just think of it as a class. Okay, and then we get that, and we are using that to create an object. This is our application, so we call it app. You can call it whatever you want. For this clarity, we'll call it app. And you might think, why do we need to put this one here? Don't worry about that. Always put it there. In the advanced lectures, we will talk about why it is important and everything. Now that we have created the application or the web application, we need to start it. So what we do is we use that if condition, and inside that we are telling it, hey, app, you have to run. Where do you have to run? Now since at this moment we are running it in our laptops, we have to put local host. You don't have to put it, but for clarity, let's put it. Host where this is hosted is localhost, that is 127.0.0.1, and the port 4000. So in the same host, you can have multiple ports. So that means you can host multiple websites on different ports, but on the same host. Now if you look at the debug part, now this is, we are using this for the ease of coding. So when we have debug true, that means when we do a small change, this system will automatically take that change. If we have that as false, what will happen is whenever we do a change, we will have to come back and restart it from here, the system. Otherwise, if we have it as true, whenever we type a new code and we press Ctrl S, it will automatically save it and it will restart the server by itself. So it just saves us time. But in production or in live environment, we don't do this, and we don't deploy it Flask application like this also. But for now, let's think, okay, now we are running it on our laptop. Let's figure out how to run it. Now we have set this up. Right now, after that, you just right click on the run file and run it, and it will start something like this, and you will see it will say if everything is okay. it will say, hey, this is running on this particular URL and this particular port. Now, just to check it, we can go to the web browser, whatever you want, whether it's Edge or Safari or Google Chrome. You type the URL and you will notice it will say not found, right? Now you might be thinking, I did start my web server, it said it started, but it is saying not found. The thing is, now when we type it on the URL, what it is doing is it is calling the web server that we just started and telling, okay, after this port number there is nothing, right? If you go to a normal URL, you will see /profile /billing, like that. Now we are telling it, okay, I want the empty route. So at that point, web server, even though he has started, he doesn't know what to do if someone calls this empty route, because we didn't add a route. We didn't tell the web server what to do when someone calls. We just ask him to start, that's it. We didn't tell him what to do. So what we need to do is, so if you go back to the PyCharm, and you will see an error message saying, hey, someone wanted the empty route, but since you didn't tell me what to do with empty route, I just sent him 404, that is not found error. That's the error that was shown on the website. Now we just have to add a route. So how do we add a route? It's very simple. We tell app, here is a route, empty route, and if someone asks for this particular route, run this function. So what does this function does? It doesn't do much. It every time it is called, it will return the string called you are on the home page. So if we just restart this and go back to the browser and type that URL again, now the web server knows, okay, if someone calls for the empty route, I have to return this. It knows. Okay, so we'll see that in a bit, but before that you will notice, okay, what are these grayish like wave like lines? So you don't have to worry about them. They are shown by PyCharm telling you, okay, your code is not up to standard. So Python standard is you should at least give two blank lines, because it is easier to read. Now if we go to the next one, you will see, okay, same thing. Now this error warning, not warning, but those grayish lines are gone. There's no difference when from the perspective of the execution, but it is easier to read. That's the only difference. Okay, so now we restart this and we go to the web page and we hit enter, and you see, okay, now it knows to send that string back. Now we don't get the error, right? So we are done. We know how to add a route and send something to the website or the web browser. Okay, now the thing is, we don't want to send a string, we want to send websites, right? Web pages. Like for the Facebook, you don't want string, you want images and those everything. So we need a web page. So we'll see how we are going to send a web page. It's very easy. So what we need is, we need a place to store all our web pages. In other words, all our HTML files, we have to save it somewhere. So for that, we create a folder called templates. So how to create a folder? You right click on the project name and go to new and create folder and name it as templates. Now, just because we created the templates folder, our system doesn't know that the HTML files will be here. So we have to make a small change here telling, okay, template folder is templates. Now app knows, okay, if someone asks for a template, I know where to go and look. That's it. That's all this is telling you. Okay. Now, okay, we created a templates folder, we told the application where the template folder is, but we didn't create the actual web page, and we didn't tell the code to return that web page. It is still returning that string. Okay, so what we will do is very simple. We go to the template folder, right click and create a new HTML file. It will automatically populate these things. I have just changed the title and I have added a h1 tag called welcome to Veritas Academy and a paragraph tag like this. So when this web page goes to the browser, it will show a beautiful uh, welcome to the academy in big letters and this one in small letters. Still, we need to do one more step, because we need to tell the code, okay, instead of returning that old string, now what we need you to do is render means think of it as giving back. Give back the template. What template? Home.html. Now we are telling give back the template home.html. Since we told it where the templates are, this code will go and look at the templates folder and it will say, hey, there is a home.html file, so I'm going to return that. That's it. Now you might think, where the hell did this come from, like render template? So that you don't have to worry about. That is like Flask. From that Flask library there is a function and someone has written that on behalf of us, so we don't have to worry about it. We just have to use it. So we import it and we use it. Now when we restart and someone go to that empty route, uh, what it will do is it will see, okay, someone is calling the empty route, and that means I have to run this function. What does that function do? It does render the template. What template? Home template, home HTML. So it will return the home page. See, we call it, we got the home page. That's it. Now you know how to return a web page. Now the next thing is, so to make it little bit more appealing, let's add an image. So I just added the image tag and I added the link as a public image, and forget about the alt part. You know, if you don't know HTML, forget about it. So image, we gave the URL, and you don't have to actually refresh when you are working with PyCharm and Flask. If you change a HTML file, you don't have to refresh. It will automatically get those changes. But if you change a Python file, you have to press Ctrl S or you have to restart. Now since we changed the HTML file, we don't have to worry about anything. We just have to go and refresh the browser and you see, okay, image is here, right? That's it. And now we have one image, one web page here, but that's not a website. We need multiple web pages, right? So how to add multiple web pages? That's very easy. Now think, I want to add a about page. What do? I go to HTML templates folder, create a HTML file called about, or whatever the name you give it. And here I have used the same thing, except for now h1 tag says about page, and I have used the same image, but I have made it smaller. The width is just 100 pixels. Okay, just so we see a difference. And just because I created the HTML file, the program doesn't know, okay, if someone calls the empty route, I know to send the home page. But when do I send the about page, right? So we have to tell it, okay, like this. We have to tell it, okay, if someone calls the about route, run this function. What does that function does? It returns, what does it returns? It is rendering the template about HTML. That's it's very similar to this, but the route is different and the page is different. Now you restart, and now you go to the URL and you are typing /about. Previously there was nothing because there wasn't anything here. That was the empty route, that was the home route. Now since we want the about page, we type about and we press enter and we get our about page, right? So now we have two pages. Now just a quick thing, now we can't like here we typed about, right? But in Facebook you don't go and type uh, /profile /billing or something. You just click some links inside the page. So what we will do is we will just create two links. We go to home page and I have created a link, and the link text says go to about. And when someone click this um, text, the link is okay /about. That means when you click it, it will go to the about route, and about route will show you the about page. Now in the about page, what I have done is I have added a link go back home, and when someone click that one, it will go to the empty route, and when empty route is called, the code will return the home page. So if we go to the web page and see, okay, this is the link in the home page. When I click this, it will take me to the about page, and I see the about page, and when I click home, it will take me back to the home page. Now you know how to do a simple website using Flask. You know how to connect pages, you know how to go from here to there, you know how to include images. So within 30 minutes we covered a lot, and you now can create your own website, very simple one. In the next steps we will see how to get user inputs, how to add buttons, and how to connect databases, and in the third step we will be looking at how to add a machine learning or AI module to this one and show it to the world. We will go stage by stage, but for now you have done Flask, the first stage, and you are good to go for the part 2.